So in this short video we are discussing mechanical digital locks that work with UPVC or timber composite door multi-point locking systems. So ordinarily on a multi-point locking system, standard set of levers such as these 1, 2, 2 centres levers on this wink house mechanism. Can you replace these levers with a digital lock that will work with the multi-point locking system? So the answer is yes, you can. This is the go-to product to do that. This is a Borg BL6100, either S for the satin finish or W for the white finish. It comes in both. And this product will replace a standard set of levers on most modern multi-point locking systems. The wink house is a good example. And give you a digital locking solution for this application. So we're going to show you now how it works, what systems it works with, and what it looks like when fitted. And we're going to do that by fitting it to this wink house. It's out of the door, as you can see, but fitted with all of the standard hardware. So just a Euro cylinder and a set of levers. We'll swap this over for a digital locking system. So in the box, we're going to get everything we see here. You've got your back plates, one for the internal, one for the external side, the keypad itself, the internal handle plate, set of levers, escutcheons, fixings, spindle. Everything you'd expect with a standard set of multi-point locking levers, with the addition, of course, of the digital lock keypad on the top of the external side. So you can see now we've removed the standard furniture from the door, and let's go about replacing it with the Borg mechanical digital locking solution. So assembly of the internal and external sections of the Borg lock is really simple. Just involves fitting the keypad and the internal backplate to the full-length escutcheons, and then fitting the levers, the lever handles themselves, onto the units. They fit via grub screws, and then there are some fixings to install to the back of the main unit that are the supports to mount through the door, that you then bolt through into to compress the unit together. So this is what it looks like built before it goes onto the door, and now we'll replace the standard furniture with this unit. So this is going to be our external side of the door, and just one thing to note when installing the Borg, there's a small dot on the rear of the spindle follower, and that should always be facing in the 12 o'clock position, so upwards when installing the product. So as you can see here, our dot is on the top face, it's facing upwards, and we can install our Borg. So there we go, the Borg 6100 is now fitted to the lock instead of the standard lever furniture which we've removed. And as you can see, it fits exactly the same as a conventional bolt-through set of lever furniture would. This is where we must make you aware of the considerations when selecting a multi-point locking system to work with the Borg. And to assess whether or not the two are going to be compatible, there are two main things to be conscious of. The first is where the bolt-through fixings are going to pass. So this is a wink house lock. We already know the preparation for this wink house lock allows clearance for both the top and the bottom bolt-through fixing. So that measurement there is what you must make sure will work with the lock case you intend to use it with. The other is the function of the lock itself. These are designed to work with lift lever mechanisms. So whether it be a split spindle night latch that you can lift the lever to throw the locking points, or a genuine lift lever mechanism like the old wink house lift lever mechanisms were, then this lock will work with those in terms of functionality. And the only other consideration is to make sure that you do have the clearance on the gearbox for where these bolt-through fixings are going to go. Now, as well as the installation instructions, the product also comes supplied with this fitting template, which shows the top bolt-through fitting is 65mm above the centre of spindle. The bottom one is 130mm from the centre of the spindle. That gives a combined value of the two of 195mm between locking points. The top one being 65mm above the spindle. So using these measurements, you should be able to determine whether or not the gearbox in question is going to physically work with the Borg product. We know the wink house in our example obviously works fine. There are others as well. We will always check for you if needs be to confirm your proposed gearbox will work with the Borg. It must be a lift lever or a split spindle lift lever mechanism, and it also must be 92mm for locking centres in order to work with the product. So now that we've got the Borg installed on the lock, what is this going to give us in terms of functionality? Well, essentially, the digital lock is going to control the lever handle. So the lever handle cannot be pulled down. Well, it can be pulled down, but it won't do anything without the correct code being entered on the digital lock. It can be lifted, so you can lock the mechanism without the code, but you cannot unlock it again without the code. The key function of the lock remains unaffected by all of this. So if you were to turn the key or the thumb turn on the inside of the Euro cylinder and deadlock the lock, the code's not going to override it, just in the same way that you wouldn't be able to pull the lever down and retract the locking points. But what it is going to do is it's going to make sure that if you are just using this throughout the day as a digital lock, you can leave via the door, lift the lever on the inside, and you won't be able to get in again from the outside without putting the code in. As long as the key hasn't been turned, the cylinder hasn't been turned and the door hasn't been deadlocked, it will operate like that as an access control solution on a multi-point locking system, where the code must be used in order to retract the lever handle and pull all the locking points back in.